everybody. Welcome to the She Rocks Awards virtual red carpet. Today, I am completely stoked to chat with 2022 She Rocks honoree, Grammy nominated singer-songwriter Meredith Brooks. You got a long resume. You can add She Rocks honoree to that resume. Congratulations, Meredith.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Love your hair.
Nice to meet you virtually. I love your hair as well. I know we were like zhuzhing up for the press conference that's happening, and I'm excited to see the glam when we meet in person on June 2nd at the actual awards in Anaheim. How does it feel to, obviously, like I said, you've had many career accolades, but how does it feel to get this special honor?
It was a surprise, to be honest. We're gearing up for the 25th anniversary of Bitch, yay. And we had the 25th anniversary of the whole release of Blurring the Edges just 2 days ago. And so I got a call, or I should say, yeah, a call and an email from Bonnie and Kim Garner from Access TV, and they're like, we'd like to make you an honoree. What do you think? And I'm like, for what? And they're like, Trailblazer. And I'm like, yep. I kicked a few doors, that's for sure.
What do you think is special about this event and this honor?
Well, first off, okay, I never used to look at myself as like, oh, I'm a woman out there doing something special or different. It really wasn't until I got to Los Angeles that I was like, I'm in a really tough, competitive guys world. Like, it didn't really hit me. Now that I've been in the business for, 35 years, or probably even more, since I was 11,
wow.
To see something like this happen, I never had anything like this. And I'm really excited that all these women are coming together. And I'm sure there's going to be men there too, because I know my son and my husband are going to be there. And they're both in the business. So it really is in our blood, I guess. They're on tour right now with Avril. So I'm like, give me back my family. And we're going to be all there. And I'm going to look around the room and see women I have worked with and been with and mentored. And I'm hoping I can keep it together, to be honest.
You talked about moving down here and how it was tough. The LA was a tough town. And that was kind of when you first had the realization of the whole boys club thing. Tell me about what that experience was like. What was challenging?
Well, it was actually in the Graces. It was a great lesson. And I think, funny, I was going to say this in my speech, but I'm just going to say it now instead. That'll give me more things to say later. It was in the Graces that I really got the hit when I walked in to do the recording for the album. And there were some very famous guitar players that I knew from the China Club. We'd go down there and jam and stuff. That really dates me.
Oh, I know the China Club. I'm an LA native, so I'm aware.
Oh, okay.
It was a cool place, cool place.
And I used to go in there and jam, but I was still, funny, I wasn't shy in the Northwest, but when I got down to LA, there are players there, so I always kind of was like respectful and held back a little bit. And there were two players from China Club in there, and like, hi guys, what are you doing here? And kind of excited to see them. They're like, well, we're here to play on the Graces record. I'm like, wait, that's my record. And like, no, I'm the guitar player. And they're like, oh, wait. And we all just had that moment of like,
they hired out.
Uncomfortable.
Ooh, wow.
I mean, I remember going home that night, and it was my first time, and this is what I'm going to say to people is, go ahead, have your meltdown, feel bad, then do what I do. I called one of the players who was a friend of mine. I said, what do I do? Like, this is incredible. Like, I feel so crappy right now. He said, come up. So we got together. He goes, oh, I get it. I'm playing your parts. Like, how is this even happening? Or you should be playing these parts. So we kind of worked it out. We went into the studio together and we set up. And by the time they came in, they're like, oh, you both are in the studio together. And we're like, and we're going to play together.
That's awesome.
And I think when you get over that initial hump and you have some support, well, the end of the story goes when we were on stage, even with a broken leg, because I broke my leg somehow. I can't even remember. Oh, car wreck. And we're playing, and comes time to finally solo. The managers are there, the producers, everybody's there. I just walk to the front of the stage. I'm thinking, oh my God, okay. And I just do it. and it was all over with. Like the managers and the producers came up and said, we're so sorry. We didn't even know.
So after the Graces, when Bitch came out, it did seem to come out of nowhere. It did seem to be like an overnight success story. It was all over MTV. It was all over the radio. And obviously it still resonates today. What do you think it is that resonates about that song a quarter century later?
Sorry, I'm going to take a drink.
Yep.
Oh, well, I guess the message is, I mean, women then, we're women now. I mean, and I think it's an evergreen message. It's empowering for women and for every generation. I just had my newest favorite person. I always find a fan or two that are playing it, right? She's 6 years old.
Oh,
and
that's
she has
amazing.
a red guitar. She has flaming red hair.
Awesome.
And I texted her mom. I said, can I post this? I should get to it today or tomorrow at the latest. 6 years old. And her mom says, yeah, I said, does she sing too? And she's like, oh yeah, she knows all the words. She's been hearing me sing it forever. Now, here's the difference. It used to be, I was only allowed to say this word when my mom was singing it, and I'd sing it loud in the back of the car with her. Now we have a 6-year-old playing. I mean, this is mind-boggling to me. I'm like, yes. I'm playing guitar, singing the song, and she's 6, and she gets it.
Tell me about, like, you know, how reclaiming the word bitch and turning it into like kind of a badge of honor was important to you or important to the success of this song.
Well, I've been doing a lot of, self-work at the time and was deep into Jungian theory. And so it was a lot of shadow self-work and shadow work. And I loved it. It made so much sense to me. So bitch, just all of a sudden I got it. It was like, oh, this is just a part of us. And not only that, what people are using the word bitch for is really, it's like the F-bomb. You know, it's like, that's kind of one of my power words I found out. It kind of gives me like, you know, it's like a power up in a video game, you know, it's like, that's kind of what it does for me sometimes. And bitch can be so like how I can use myself in more of a powerful way. It doesn't, I guess I said it best in an old interview. I saw it the other day. I was like, oh, that's funny. I use semantic realignment with it. So you can make it really anything you want. Bitch can mean whatever you want it to mean. But if we use the old idea, it's just a part of a very large part of us. I think it's a balance. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to quote myself, but the bitch lover, child mother, all that. At the time, it's like, if we don't integrate all of those parts of us, we cannot be whole people.
I'm honored to chat with one of this year's She Rocks Awards honorees, Yvette Young, the virtuosic frontwoman and guitarist for the progressive math, art, alternative rock band Covet. I covet that hair situation you got going on right now. I understand you have a frog themed tour going on. We were talking a bit before this started. So that's what's inspiring the green right now.
Yeah, I figure why not just go all out. I also have this like green Ibanez Talman that I got specifically for this tour. So I'm just gonna be all green.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview because I know you're actually in the middle of kind of working out what this tour is going to be like. You're rehearsing right now. What can you tell your fans about it? I bet they're real excited. I don't know how much touring you've done in the last, 2 years. So you must be very excited to do this.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. It's going to be really special. We haven't really gone across the US and in Canada for like 2 years now, ever since the lockdown. So we've only done a few like short West Coast runs. I'm personally looking forward to playing a lot of new music that we haven't even released yet on this tour, just to sneak preview it to people. And it's going to be really good seeing familiar faces.
How does it feel? Like, what's going through your mind when you found out that you were receiving this honor?
Everything feels kind of always surreal to me. I just like, I don't know. The way I started playing in a band and doing all this, I graduated as an art major and an education double major. So I was working as an art teacher before touring or anything. And music was just like a little bit of a side hobby for me, and I did it for fun. And it's just really surreal that it's at this point where I'm touring, I'm getting to play music for people over the world, and to have this award is also equally surreal. I'm in the craziest company. I checked out some of the other people who are being honored, and I just feel really grateful and lucky.
Well, since you have such an obviously unorthodox style of playing and tuning, but it seems like the way you gravitate towards the guitar or towards a career playing guitar was unorthodox. When did you realize this could be a real career for you? Because it sounds like at one time it was more like a hobby or a side thing as opposed to like what you do now.
Yeah, it was definitely kept me sane. Like music has always been like a huge source of therapy for me. I actually got into guitar as just like a way to have a healthy outlet and everything. And I guess at some point I was having to hire substitutes and touring so frequently. I felt it was unfair to just always be leaving my class. So I was like, it's now or never. It's scary to take the plunge, but I was like, well, I'm just going to treat it like a 9-to-5 job then and invest time into it, and might as well give it a go when I'm younger, and we'll see what happens. Here, I'm still doing it.
Guess it all worked out. But the guitar wasn't your first instrument, right? Weren't you playing either piano or violin when you were extremely young, like grade school age?
Yeah, I started when I was 4 on piano. Oh, wow. And 7 on violin, and guitar was like after high school, like going to college. Wow. Way late in the game.
I didn't realize it was that late. So, as I was mentioning, you have kind of an unusual style of playing and unorthodox playing. You're self-taught, right? I imagine with piano and violin, you took like traditional lessons, but with guitar, you taught yourself, right?
Yeah, I think that's what was so liberating and special about guitar to me. Was I was stuck within the rigid academia of like the classical world, and just kind of like I always had teachers, and they're amazing. Like as a teacher myself, I don't want to discount the value of having a professional and someone who's like has expertise teaching you. But it was always really nerve-wracking to me because I felt like I had to abide by all these rules and to do competitions. And I was just like a perfectionist, super nervous all the time. And guitar was one of those things where I was like, I'm going to do this for myself for the first time ever. And at the time I was struggling with some health stuff. And for me, it was like a really great way to feel in control of something, to have something for myself, and to help me fall back in love with all kinds of music. So it's always going to be like really sacred to me, because I feel like in some ways I owe my self-worth, and I owe my confidence, and I owe my health to it.
I'm honored to be chatting with, from a very special location, 2022 She Rocks Awards honoree Carmen Vandeberg, who is the lead guitarist for Grammy-nominated alternative rock band Bones UK. You are not in the UK. You are in a special place in LA right now, aren't you, Carmen?
Yeah, I'm in a special room in a studio called Sunset Sound, and this room, multiple artists have recorded in here, including Prince and the piano. And yeah, the room was empty today, and I was just working nearby, and they let me use the room to do this. I'm here just writing music and then sessioning, like kind of assisting, producing, and playing guitar on different sessions for different artists, and writing songs for different artists. And for myself, and just I've had the opportunity to have a little room here where I can just work. It's like it's not one of the main rooms, but it's just a great opportunity, and I'm enjoying my time here. So it's great.
A guitar great in his own right, Jeff Beck, asked you to co-write on his album Loud Haler, and you actually performed with him on tour as well. I got to ask how that came about. It was relatively early in your career as well, from what I understand.
Yeah, Bones had just started off. We were figuring out how to do it, and we were in London, and Rosie and I think it was our 4th ever gig or something like that. And there was about 10 people, and Jeff and his wife came down. He loved the way we sounded, and then had this record that he'd recorded, and then wasn't really sure about it, so he just wanted to do a whole brand new record with a whole different feel, have lyrics and stuff like that, and he asked us to do it with him. And the reason why he was at that show is because I'd met him at Roger Taylor's birthday party whom I'd played for before, and
Ooh.
we kind of hit it off on blues. And I think, yeah, the band was such a new thing. I got excited and I invited him and never really expected him to turn up. And then he did, which was incredible. We went out for Indian dinner and he said, would you like to do this record with us? And Rosie and I were just like, definitely.
How would you say would be a way to educate younger men or older men for that matter, but male musicians or men in the music business who might have those misogynistic attitudes or preconceptions?
I mean, I think first of all, it's from a young age, both women and little boys, they need to know that girls need to be taught that they can do exactly what boys can do. And unfortunately, in our society, we're brought up to, it's not just parents or school, we're brought up to think that we have to work harder in order to get the equal amount of rights. And I just think that's one of the things that needs to change. And it's parents teaching their little boys to treat, girls equally, and parents and teachers and whatnot to teach girls that they deserve to have the same equal opportunities. And, unfortunately, we still have to be stronger, and I think it's going in the right direction. But, also people need to be called out when they're being assholes.
I'm very excited the She Rocks Awards will get to be in person this year, which they were not last year for the obvious reasons. So I'm excited to see you there. Will you be performing there?
Yes, I will. And I found out today my parents are coming all the way from Italy.
Amazing. That's going to be so cool. Will you have your Black Star amp there? I know you have a Black Star signature amp that I wanted to make sure I asked you about, because it's a pretty big deal that you got this amp. Tell me about that.
That was a whole journey in itself as well. Black Star approached me about, God, might be 3 years now, that they wanted to do this with me. And I was like, are you sure you're talking about me? I couldn't believe it. They're like, yeah, we really think we could do this. And we spent a couple of years developing it, getting it right. So they created this amp that really can carry all the pedals and stuff that I use. And I would go to the headquarters and they would just plug a bunch of different things, and I would listen and say, I like that one, with this cable, with this tube. And the aesthetic of it was just us creating it together. And yeah, that was an incredible experience as well. And the fact that, I've heard so many stories of girls out there or people that really enjoying it and how it's inspired them to play more, things like that. I think that's what really makes me happy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the She Rocks Awards virtual red carpet. Today, I'm honored to chat with singer-songwriter, activist, and now 2022 She Rocks honoree MILCK, aka Connie Lim. Congratulations, Connie.
Thank you so much. I'm stoked to be here.
I'm stoked to be here with you. I'm stoked you're getting this award. Obviously, it's well-deserved and not the first honor you've gotten, but I'm curious why you feel this particular honor. Like, how does it feel? How is it special? How is it different?
Absolutely. Well, Lyndsey, I have been getting emails about the She Rocks Awards for years now. When I was starting off as an independent artist and just learning the ropes and figuring out what NAMM was, and then realizing this organization held this She Rocks Awards. And I remember thinking to myself, that would be such an amazing thing to be a part of. And it was this motivation. Even just looking at the title head of the email motivated me. Okay, really hone your craft, honor your craft, work hard, and show up as your authentic self. I would tell that to myself all the time, so that I could become an artist that created work at a caliber which, an organization like this would acknowledge. And so it's a great and really cool moment for me. When I saw the Women's March, I was like, man, I want to contribute. I want to be a part of like the creative forces. Like I want to go march, and I also want to give something to people who are marching. And so I thought about, could I bring my guitar and sing? That's fine. Or could I like pass out CDs? CDs are getting out of date, and download cards. So
they're actually coming back in style again. From
yes,
what
they
I
are. Right. Yeah.
But maybe not in 2017. We would have been ahead of the curve there.
Yes. Well said. Yeah. Because now they're cool.
You were ahead of your time.
2017, they didn't have the cool sheen yet.
Yeah.
But I thought the the modern day human being in our country has a lot of different resources. We have a lot, and the things that we really cherish are experiences. And so I wanted to create a sonic bath of female voices singing together in harmony, because that's one of the things that healed me when I was a kid, like healing from my assault and different things. I like surrounded myself in choir, a cappella groups, and something about like multiple human voices hitting your body just does something to our like mostly water composed body. And so I was able to get 25 strangers to commit to singing with me on the streets through just cold emailing a cappella groups in DC. And so we sang together, and this woman who I was not aware of until after she filmed my video on the streets, this woman named Alma Harrell, who is a Hollywood director. She directed Honey Boy and is the co-founder of Free the Bid, which is now called Free the Work, which is one of the largest global databases of female directors, cinematographers, and editors to help equalize the industry of ads. Like she's really like, for example, one of my longtime partners, Procter and Gamble, they used to have less than 15% of their advertisements be directed by women like 5 years ago. And now this year they're up to 48% of women directors. So that's also because of Alma Harrell. Anyways, I digress. Alma Harrell yeah, thanks. She walks by and films us singing our last performance, and she posted it on her Twitter, Facebook, and all that. And across all her social media platforms, it accrued over 8 million views over the weekend. So then my life completely changed. So she DM'd me on Twitter and said, I think we should talk. And so we ended up like developing a sisterhood. And she became a mentor of sorts to help guide me through this like huge wall of attention that came towards me. I didn't fully understand the repercussions of telling my story of trauma over and over again. My heart feels for all the causes that came to me, because once that song went viral, many different causes came to me. It's like, can you sing for this? Can you lead a choir here? Can you do that? And I found myself needing to create some boundaries for self-care. And I also was not fully aware of how it was all like really intense for me. And so I was really just like surfing the wave and reacting to what was happening. And it wasn't until like half a year later where I took a step and I was burnt out, and I was like, I need to take some time to reassess, while also like entering into a commercial deal with Atlantic Records, feeling this need to put out music. It was like constantly running. Now that it's been 5 years, as I look back, that period of time for me was just one, learning the power of storytelling and experiencing the power within my own life. And then two, understanding that just because there's this hot moment now, I don't need to be chasing all the things all the time. And that's part of one, being a woman of color, that like lack of abundance mindset was very apparent. And so now, as I've been healing, it's like, how can I sit in my power and know that more is to come always? And I can make choices from that place of agency and power, versus being a younger version of me being like, I'm so lucky, oh my gosh, like there's this thing, I have to chase it. It's a different energy, and I've had to grow into it, if that makes sense.
Hi, I'm Lyndsey Parker. Welcome to the She Rocks Awards virtual red carpet. Joining me on this virtual carpet out in the Matrix is someone pretty much where I left you last time we talked on Zoom, but someone I'm always delighted to chat with, Lizzie Hale. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. And yes, we're picking up right where we left off. It's exciting. I can't believe it's the 10th anniversary of She Rocks. This is just amazing.
I know, I'm so excited to be part of it again. And I'm so excited you're a part of it. Like NAMM and the She Rocks Awards keep bringing us together. Like 2 years ago, I hosted the show, and that's when you were on stage accepting the Inspire Award, which I definitely want to talk to you about, because it was like the epic speech of the night. Then last year, you became the actual host of the virtual ceremony, and you had a lot of good costume changes that, you know, you were a lot of leather jackets is what I recall.
Yeah, I had to have a little fun with it. You know, we did such a great job considering, you know, the world had stopped, but, you know, we kept going. And that was so much fun. There was so many amazing honorees. And I loved watching it all come together.
Well, we're gonna have some real fun this year because let's do a toast with my She Rocks glass.
Cheers. I know I'm not prepared.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, you'll be prepared because you're actually hosting in person this year, and I will be there in person, and it will be really exciting because, like I said, it's been since 2020. Last time you were on that stage, you were receiving an award. So, how does it feel to be stepping into the host role? And it's such a monumental year coming back after the pandemic. Obviously, you mentioned it's the 10th anniversary of the awards. It's like going to be a really special night.
It's going to be a great night. I mean, I'm so honored to be a part of it. I feel like this is extremely important for everyone to witness, and especially for young women, because you know, it's important for them to see people and see the reflection in these other people, these women that are succeeding and that have succeeded and have a history and have built their own empire. So it's such a blast to be here doing that and to be representing. There's something different about being surrounded by your sisters in this business. I mean, we've been running in parallel universes, and we understand each other on a deeper level because, you know, it's like we're war buddies. You know, we've been through the same, you know, situations and had to face the same challenges. So it was just such a wonderful feeling to be honored amongst all of these women, and it makes me so proud to be a woman because I wear being a woman in music and in this industry as a badge of honor, because it is just a fact. We have to work twice as hard. We have to, you know, I shouldn't even say twice. It's probably 5 times as hard as the men in this industry do. And we have to we have to break through a lot more walls in order to just get noticed, get your songs out there, you know, and really you're proving yourself over and over again, and unnecessarily, because it's not fair that we have to do that just because we were born women. But it's just, I think it's very important for these young ladies to see all of the women that are succeeding, and so that they can take that with them when they inevitably are going to be facing those same challenges. I just got to meet Ann Wilson for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I've gotten to have conversations with, you know, Ann and Pat Benatar and Lita Ford and Joan Jett, and then Susie Quattro at the She Rocks Awards, and I try to really give them the same thanks every time that I get an opportunity to talk to those women. Just thank you for not giving up, you know, and thank you for not for literally just laughing in the face of adversity and doing your thing. Because if the narrative had been, oh, well, Ann Wilson, she and her sister started a band, but it got too hard and so they quit. You know, if that had been their narrative, that would have been my narrative. So, you know, it is very important that the She Rocks Awards exists, and that we are celebrating being women, and celebrating not only being women and doing our thing and being great at what we do, but celebrating the fact that we're here and we did it regardless of any of that. That's why I always talk about that, you know, wearing it as a badge of honor, because that is, we are here and we are very loud. And it has changed, though. I mean, there is a whole new wave of women coming up in the business. And I remember, you know, it was just a few short years ago that I was the only girl on the bill. I was the only girl at a festival, you know, at these rock festivals. I was the only girl backstage, you know, and now it is different. You know, there's so many amazing acts, but there's also, you know, female lighting directors and producers and you know, sound engineers. And so it's just wonderful to see that in my lifetime.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lyndsey Parker. Welcome to the She Rocks Awards virtual red carpet. Today, I am honored to chat with 2022 She Rocks Award honoree Leslie GASTON-BIRD. She is a champion for diversity in the pro audio space, the author of the book Women in Audio, and the owner of Mix Messiah Productions. And I'm sure I left some other things off your resume that we'll talk to you, but obviously with a resume like that, you are very deserving of this award. Congratulations, Leslie.
Thank you very much, and I am honored to be here. I'm kind of bowled over. When I first got the email, I was really blown away. So I have a lot of respect for the awards. So many amazing women have preceded me. So congratulations to everyone.
Why do you think an event like the She Rocks Awards is so important to this industry?
Oh, I think there's tons of reasons. There's so many studies that have been done that show that in the top charting songs, there are so many women missing behind the glass. But I saw a great post from Erin Barra, who helped author some of these studies, who said, let's not make invisible the women who are in the industry. And there are tons of women in the industry working hard, being creative, pursuing their passions, following their dreams. But what we really want to see is those top charting songs and those heavily funded jobs, being made available to women behind the glass. So it's really important that we make these women visible and lift them up as role models. And so that's why, this is super important. It's vital. It's crucial. But what is amazing and what is good to see is the number. I think there's a researcher here named Eddie Dobson who documented over 70 women's audio collectives, 70 around the world, from Africa to France and Germany, just anywhere you can think of. There are women who are making these spaces for themselves and lifting each other up. South America, you name it. So, I think that when I started, I think there were definitely some instances where I don't think my talents were being used as they could. And I did see a glass ceiling, but I persevered. And I think at that time, which was the late 90s, early 2000s, I didn't feel it like I did now. And I think that was because there wasn't social media and there weren't all these amazing platforms where women can find each other and share their experiences. But I'm most proud of an initiative I've started. It's part of a PhD I'm pursuing. And as I hear myself talking, I'm like, how am I doing all of this? It's kind of nuts. Awesome. But my new initiative is called Immersive and Inclusive. I'm a student at the University of Surrey, and I would like to get more women involved in immersive audio. And so because it's this niche thing, everybody's talking about, immersive sound and Apple spatial audio and Dolby Atmos and all of these sort of catchphrases. This new technology, I think, is at risk of excluding women once again. Not that there aren't women involved, but if you just keep drilling down these niche formats, we already have a lack of participation or not equal participation in music as a whole. And then when you make it a niche format like immersive audio, then, many times I'm one of the only women, going to these trade shows and trade talks. So what I'd like to do is get immersive audio into the hands of as many women who are audio engineers as possible and women who are music creators as possible.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the She Rocks Awards virtual red carpet. Today, I am honored to chat with 2002 She Rocks Awards honoree SHERRI CHUNG. She is a pianist, vocalist, performer, songwriter, and trailblazing composer for film and television who was recently elected to the governor of the music branch of the Television Academy. That is a mouthful, obviously, with a resume like that. Very deserving that you're getting this She Rocks Award. Congratulations.
Thank you, Lyndsey. It's really awesome to be here today.
It's awesome to be here with you. How does it feel to get this award? I don't know where you were when you got the news. I don't know if it was a surprise.
It was a total surprise. It's a total honor. Honestly, I feel like it's even less about an award and just more like about a recognition and a celebration of the hard work that all the honorees have done. And I think that that's really amazing. I personally I've seen some of the list. I've seen past honorees. I've learned about new artists through this whole thing. So I just think it's an honor to join the ranks. It's an honor to be included and to be recognized.
Why do you think an award show like this, you sort of answered it, but to elaborate, why do you think an award show like this, an event like this, is so important?
I think it's important, certainly for, just our gender and like our community as artists, but I also think, again, it being a recognition and a way of saying, like, I see you, I see the work you're doing, I see the ground that you're trying to break. In some cases you are breaking that new ground. And I think it's important because, especially in this day and age where there's, look, life is difficult, the world is happening, and arts and culture is really important. And I think it's really important to get out there to see, who's doing what, who is really, rising to the top or trying to rise to the top of their field, and just, really making an impact. And I think it's important to bring that to light for everybody, so that they can not just be celebrated, but also be, inspiring to others who are also coming up and doing the same type of things.
Absolutely. Well, you've definitely risen to the top and broken ground, but I want to go back to the beginning and sort of go through your career, because I think you've had a really interesting path, because I understand you started playing music very young, like age 5, but it was like the Prince of Thieves soundtrack or something that made you kind of want to get more into the film world. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear that story.
Yeah, I'm a classically trained pianist. I thought I was going to be a classical pianist. I kind of learned early on that I wasn't cut out for the performance aspect of it. It was just, it's very, kudos to all those who can do it, because I had the practice, I had the discipline. I probably had enough talent, but it was really just, it was, I realized also that I was a bit more creative, and I knew I needed that kind of outlet. And I did see the movie Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and I heard this amazing soundtrack score by Michael Kamen. And I had, I'd been watching movies, we'd all seen movies, and I'd been listening to so much different music, whether it's classical or, rock and roll, whichever. And I just never heard music like this before. I had never heard music that was so storytelling and just moved me in such a way that, I was watching something and listening to and just feeling something that I had just never experienced before. And I'm like, that right there, I want to do that.
Well, what I think is interesting about, I'd like to ask about like the challenges, or good in a good way, of working on Riverdale, because it really, like, the whole show kind of blurs the decades. Like, obviously it's based on something that took place in the 50s, I guess, but like musically and on the page and on the screen, it's like you kind of almost can't figure out what year the show is supposed to take place in. So how has that been cool for you to sort of be able to play with different sounds?
Yeah, and it's great that you recognize that, and that the fans do too, because that was always the intention. That was the intention from the creator Roberto, and and Greg Berlanti, and then with conversations with Blake and I. That was always the intention. We're like, we don't want to know what decade, we don't want to know what genre. We just would kind of, so. But how do we get that timeless feel? And that was definitely the challenge and the struggle, but also kind of the inspiration of us coming up with that sound. I think what's also really great, to your point too, is that we have been able to dive into like straight up 50s, straight up 80s, straight up horror, like John Carpenter horror, or like psycho thriller, that kind of thing. And it's just, it's as a creative, as somebody who especially writes music for episodic, that's really exciting, because there's a lot of, oftentimes, and rightly so, a show is built in a way where we have continuity and consistency, and each week the story might change and it might develop, but you still want to do something that is very consistent and kind of based on what you've done before. And what's great about Riverdale is there is a level of that. There's a through line where, we want to feel nostalgic about something, which you got to bring back some of the original themes. But there's also like, no, we want to just go crazy and jump the shark every episode. And so, and so it's inspiring. I mean, it's great, because things can sometimes get, just the same type of thing. And then this changes it up all the time. So it's very exciting.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the She Rocks Awards virtual red carpet. Today, I'm honored to chat with 2022 She Rocks Award honoree, KERRY FIERO. She is the creator of Girl Power Women Working in the Music Industry Conference, which is recognized nationally as one of the premier entertainment industry educational and networking events of its kind. So obviously that alone makes her very deserving of this prestigious award. Congratulations, KERRY, for being one of our honorees this year.
Thank you. I'm so excited and so honored to be a part of all these women that rock.
I mean, you rock, obviously. You're an esteemed company, but like I said, you're leading the charge. I mean, you have a conference that's literally about this, but tell me, why you feel an event like the She Rocks Awards is so important.
Because again, it's tapping into all these incredible women who often in their real lives and their real careers are not being recognized. So the She Rocks Awards recognizes so many women that are doing amazing things, who are so talented, who are often not given the spotlight.
Absolutely. Is that why you wanted to create the Girl Power Conference to sort of, do that same kind of mission?
That's exactly why, because when I was an artist manager, I often felt like I was the only woman in the room, only to find out there were so many women out there that just weren't as seen. So as I got more seasoned as a artist manager, I thought this is a great way to like bring seasoned professionals in front of women that are up and coming and want to break into the music industry so that they can see like there's many, many women playing every single role in the music industry in all different kinds of careers that are very male dominated, but they're there.
I definitely want to ask you about your experience as a manager, but I want to ask about the Girl Power Conference, like when you started it, what exactly it is, like if someone were to attend, what they would get out of it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I started it in 2013 as an adjunct professor at San Francisco State. There was a young girl that said it was so wonderful to learn that a woman was actually in the career and somebody she could look up to. And she really inspired me to put other San Francisco State students in front of professionals, which sort of launched the conference and what it became. So the goal was always to empower, to inspire, and to get people jobs and internships and a foot in the door, because there were so many women coming that said, say you have like the director of a festival who said, I'm looking for, people I can hire, and people would leave my conference with jobs. They'd leave with connections, and a lot of people, like especially the creatives, would leave with somebody to, let's cut a record together. So it was always about networking and empowering to further your career, no matter what stage of your career you were at.
As a woman, particularly starting off in a different time when, as you mentioned, you kind of felt like you were maybe one of the only people in the room doing that. Like, did you ever have any obstacles with being taken seriously or being called difficult or whatever when you had to wear your bad guy hat?
Well, this was my secret strategy, is that I would see women in the industry who were very looked at in a negative way because they were trying to take on these attributes of men. I'm going to argue to death. I'm going to negotiate to death. I'm going to be vulgar in my language. I'm going to, be so aggressive and hard to work with. And I was like, I'm from Berkeley. Like, we like everybody. Like, that's not me, right? So my whole thing was like, I'm just going to be really easy to work with. That's going to be my secret sauce. So my negotiation is going to be a win-win for both of us every time. And that was like my entire career was built on the win-win. So as the years go by, ask anybody I've ever done business with, they're like, oh, she's great to work with, because it was always about the win-win for me. Everybody can come away. I don't need to be super aggressive. I don't need to be mean. I don't need to raise my voice. What can we both do so we both get what we want? And that really is what helped me in the music industry.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the She Rocks Awards virtual red carpet. Today, I am psyched to chat with 2022 She Rocks Awards honoree, EveAnna Manley. She is the owner and operator of Manley Labs, which she co-founded in 1993. I don't know if that's the proper introduction to you, because your bio on your website refers you as the Manley Tube Queen, America's goddess of thermionic emissions. Hope I said that right. And Tube Chick. Apparently your preferred title is Tube Chick. And now you can add She Rocks honoree to that list.
Thank you. I started really young. I was still 20 years old when I started building vacuum tube equipment. So I was, yeah, definitely a chick back then, you know, a young girl just learning electronics.
How does it feel to receive this honor?
Wow. It's a big deal. When I started in the late 80s, I mean, I was one of the few chicks, a few females, you know, doing anything technically in the audio world. I kind of stood out as quite an anomaly. So to be recognized today amongst lots of other women who have been just totally rocking it in the audio world, I'm really in the music world, of course, I am just thrilled.
As well you should be, and I'm thrilled for you. But I want to go back to the beginning, you know, that time in the late 80s, you say, where things were, I imagine, very different, and you were just a 20-year-old chick. I believe you were destined to do this. Aren't tubes running your blood?
Yeah, kind of. My stepfather owned Ampeg back in the late 60s.
Okay.
And so I grew up hearing about all, you know, like the SVT amplifiers going out with the Rolling Stones and my older step siblings at Woodstock and so on. So I definitely had my eye on the vacuum tube manufacturing game from afar.
So going back to the beginning of when you started doing this, you mentioned, you know, you were 20, you were the tube chick. And were there any other women? Were you the only woman in your workplace at that time?
I knew some women that worked for the magazines, you know, mainly in advertising and so on. I have to struggle to think of anyone in those times that I even knew professionally that was a peer to me doing what I was doing. And I had no role models that were female at all back then. I just had to forge it on my own, and by just putting my head down and working very hard and learning things and learning how to be a fine young human.
You know, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think there's a lot of women who maybe feel a little reluctant to toot their own horn or market themselves because, you know, we've been taught from a young age that that's not ladylike or whatever, or that's making you seem too domineering, like domineering traits, like you mentioned, that in men would be valued in business, can be a double-edged sword for women in business, any business.
Big time. And I remember kind of hearing about that as well, you know, and experiencing that from different people. But she persevered, you know. I kept going. I kept, you know, developing really great products, running a super factory with wonderful people, and you know, being honest all the time and just running my company full of integrity. And that's, I think, what got me through the noise. You know what I mean? I rose above all that stuff and just worked really hard and earnestly.
All right, friends. It is time to dig deep and get to know Lyndsey Parker. So many of you know her as the editor at Yahoo Entertainment and SiriusXM radio host. Lyndsey, how do you like to be described?
How do I like to be described? Well, my official title is a music editor at Yahoo Entertainment, and I host the show Volume West on SiriusXM. But I guess, that's a good question. I just am like I call myself a music journalist, but sometimes I feel like I'm a professional fan. I'm still, so many years later, amazed that I get paid to talk, because I do that anyway. I talk about music anyway. I spent my whole childhood with people telling me I talk too much. People like used to sing Run DMC's "You Talk Too Much" to my face. F you guys. I get paid to do it now. It's just sometimes I'm still like really shocked that I get to do this. I'm shocked I'm getting an award for it. When I was a kid, I used to like, you know, I wanted to be an actress because I was always kind of a ham, and I used to like hold things up, like much like this She Rocks glass I have now, but I would hold it up in front of like, you know, the mirror and be like, I would like to thank the Academy. I would like to thank, you know, I would like have these like delusions of grandeur in my head. And then like some of my dreams came true. So I don't know, professional fan.
When did you decide that I can ask questions about music and get paid for it? When did that dawn on you?
Well, I always knew I wanted to work in music. And actually my first official like paid job was at a record company. It was at Restless Records, which no longer exists. And yeah, even though I had always done well in English, and I actually like, I don't even remember this, but I found my high school yearbook recently, and in the there was some page where it's like, what do you want to be doing in 10 years? And I actually said I either want to be going into music journalism or radio. That blew my mind. I'm like, I actually did those things, and I said that at 17 in my high school yearbook. But even though I apparently had those aspirations and like writing skills, whatever, I had no idea how to like do that. I had no idea how to get into that. So I just knew I wanted to work in music business. And I went to like the first record company that would like hire me basically for like $6 an hour answering phones. And I was stoked. I was fine with that.
Which brings me to, we are celebrating the She Rocks Awards and the red carpet. So I'm not going superficial just for superficial reasons, but we got to talk about look, right? Have you always had a rock and roll rock star look about you?
If I showed you, if I could actually find it, I'll see if I could show this to you. If I could show you my high school prom photo, you'll be pretty amused, because the answer is yes. I mean, I'm not going to say I looked like this when I was like 10 or 12, but by high school, I pretty much had, I kind of pretty much had a vibe. I had a look. I've had every friggin' hair color there is. I mean, this is actually a picture of me in high school. If you could see this, like blonde. Susie,
there you go. Yes.
I've had every hair color. Oh yeah. This was my 10th grade high school yearbook. Look at this.
Why
I don't know how I ever got, because I had braces, dude. So I never.
Oh yeah. I have a
Plus
sad
I was
photo
goth.
too
You
in
don't,
the yearbook.
you don't smile when. Oh, but here's a picture. All right, let's see if I could show this to you. Sorry, Seth, who was still a friend of mine. He was my high school date. I mean, I looked like this in high school. This is my prom. I'm wearing a patent leather dress. The dude with me is wearing more makeup than me, but look at the hair color.
This is amazing. This is amazing. You're being honored at the She Rocks Awards. First and foremost, what does that mean to you? Because I feel it's like you've been involved with these ladies and these rockers for several years. Certainly, I'm sure you've been sniffing around that award, being like, "Wow,
no, it never."
You don't see a statue and say, "I want one."
As much as I was just joking a minute ago about how I used to like practice my award show speech if I became an Oscar or Grammy winner, and kind of had those delusions of grandeur. I never, first of all, it never dawned on me that I would win any kind of award. I've been nominated for award here or there, but it's never dawned on me. But it never dawned on me that I would
get honored by the She Rocks. Wow.
I've been involved with She Rocks for I think 3 or 4 years now, and I've in different hosting capacities, and I've always stayed in that lane. It's not about me. It's about people like Dionne Warwick or Linda Perry or Susie Quattro or Shirley Manson or Exene, these people that I like worship. I would never put myself on the same level with people like that. No, I mean, I'm, as much as I fake it till I make it. That's what I said. I am a pretty, we all have imposter syndrome. I even had it like the first time I hosted the awards. Like I was literally walking up to the podium. I was doing Christine Devine from Fox, and who is obviously a very established, and literally Emmy winning news anchor. And I was like, you sure you want me to do this? Like me? Like, really? Like, no, I never.
Did someone else cancel?
I mean, kind of. I mean, I'm someone who like wanted to be Martha Quinn growing up. And the fact that I even one time Martha Quinn actually told me I was interviewing Martha Quinn about an MTV thing. And I told her when I was, a kid watching MTV, which quite literally changed my life, getting MTV as a kid, that I wanted to be her. And she said to me, well, Lyndsey, you did it. Right? Like you're on television, you interview people. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, she's kind of right. Not at her level, obviously, but kind of right. So no, I never think of myself in those terms. And I certainly never thought, I was just honored to be part of the She Rocks family as someone they think is worthy of presenting these awards to these icons. I never sniffed. I never was like, hey, you got next to one of them. That would look good in my house. I'm stoked that it's happening. I'm incredibly honored. Now I actually have to write a speech, which is daunting.
Woo!
I'm used to giving.
They're going to keep you on time. You better watch it. They'll be yanking you off the stage.
They said it has to be 2. Is there any wiggle time? 2.5. We have to submit our speeches in advance for the teleprompter. So I wouldn't be surprised if what shows up in the teleprompter has like some red.
It's all red line, all red line.
Hey everybody, I'm Lyndsey Parker. Welcome to the She Rocks Awards virtual red carpet. Today, I am honored to chat with a woman who's literally going to get the party started at the 2022 She Rocks Awards. TENILLE Arts, you are opening the show at June 2nd. Am I correct? You are the person that's going to get it all kicked off.
I believe so. I'm very excited about it. I will take that.
There's a great responsibility there. How does it feel to know that the She Rocks Awards feels you're the person to set the tone for this spectacular evening of the 10th anniversary of the She Rocks Awards?
I mean, I'm really excited about it. And I write with a ton of women. So I'm going to be playing a song that I wrote with women. And so that's just special to me. And I feel like it's a good way to kick off honoring a bunch of incredible women.
Which song are you going to be doing?
I believe I'm going to be singing Somebody Like That.
So if I'm not mistaken, let me make sure I have the statistics right. Somebody Like That. I find it hard to believe it took this long, but congratulations to you that you're the one that did it. Now, is Somebody Like That, did it make history as the first song that was written, performed, and produced entirely by women to top the country chart? Am I correct in that?
You are correct.
And what year that song come out? 2019, around then?
Yeah, 2019.
So it took till then for that to happen. Do you have, I mean, again, it's awesome that it happened and it's awesome that you're the one that made it happen, but why do you think it took so long?
I honestly don't know. You know, I was talking with my producer, Alex Klein, who did that song with me. And, you know, she was talking about how difficult it was just knowing that she wanted to be a producer and having no like major female producers to look up to in the country world. And, you know, a lot of them have had success as co-producers, but not as the solo female producer. So I just think it's really cool now that she's that person that other young women can look up to and be like, wow, you know, she did it. You know, she was the first one ever. And now I hope it opens the doors more and just empowers other women that are maybe thinking like she was, like, oh, I've never seen this done before. I don't know if it can be done. You know, she made it happen. So I'm just honored to be a part of this song and have written it with just two incredible women. And now we get to, you know, no one can take that away from us. That's our thing that we can have forever.
Like, what are your thoughts about the struggles that young female country artists have faced, particularly at radio, and how that is slowly changing?
Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up in a time when there were, like you said, like it was all women on country radio. And so I thought that that's the way it was. You know, I honestly didn't listen to male country like at all. You know, I'm still primarily listening to women. And, you know, there were some weird things, like you said, being said by radio stations about these quotas and things like that, and that their listeners only want to hear male artists or whatever. You know, there was a lot of talk going around.
There was the famous tomatoes in the salad quote.
Yes.
And I think either Maren Morris or Casey Musgraves took that person to task, that women were tomatoes.
Yes.
And men were the salad.
Right. And so that's a tough thing to hear, because that was, you know, all of that kind of stuff really started happening when I first moved to Nashville. Like, that's when a light was kind of being shone on what was going on and how little airplay there was for women and all of that. And I honestly don't know if us talking about it more changed it, or if, you know, just more women coming out with music. Like, I don't know exactly what changed at country radio, but I feel like it definitely is changing. We're seeing a ton of new women, you know, at least having top 10 songs and taking up a good portion of the chart. So that's really exciting to see, especially like for me in the place that I'm in my career, you know, to kind of be on the front end of that. I hope we get back to like it was in the 90s with all of the, you know, females really dominating. And I think we are really slowly getting to that point. It's an exciting time to be a part of country music.